Okay, so thank you so much for coming to my Global Talent Visa Inspirational webinar in digital technologies. My name is Michelle Hewer, and today we'll be talking about what is the Global Talent Visa. I'll talk about the Stage 1 endorsement application and process, a little bit about the guidelines, and then I will introduce my special VIP guest, Kelly Stottlemyer from the US, and I will interview Kelly, and then I will open the floor so that you can ask Kelly your own questions as well. So feel free to pop it in the chat or the Q&A. We know it's working now, and I will open up the floor after my presentation and my interview with Kelly so that you can ask your questions. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Michelle Hewer. I'm Vietnamese, Australian, and British citizen now. I'm a global talent visa coach, and how I got into this was when I was living in the UK under an entrepreneur's visa. I applied in 2016 for exceptional talent, and I received it. So after I got my exceptional talent visa, which is what it was called then, I became the Tech Nation Visa Ambassador. And the reason was because back then, I know it was only 6 years ago, no one knew about the visa. So they needed people to go out and tell their story and encourage others to apply as well. And then that turned into me doing this full time. So the great thing about the Global Talent Visa is that it's a route to settlement. So in 2019, 3 years after, I received my indefinite leave to remain, and then I got my British citizenship. I had spent some time in the UK for 7 years. I lived in Manchester and Newcastle, and I travelled to London very regularly for my startup as well. So the great thing about those three cities is they have a very collegial tech ecosystem. I really did immerse myself in all three of the tech ecosystems and gained a lot from it because I was able to put a lot of effort and time in building my network in London, Manchester, and Newcastle. Before I was a tech entrepreneur, I was a lawyer for the Australian government, and I started all this by, after I received my visa, I wrote a blog about my journey because, as I said, no one knew about it. So I wrote a story about my journey, and that blog became viral, and that's how I've decided to help a lot of people with their global talent visa endorsements. I've helped over 500 tech entrepreneurs, senior execs, and tech employees. My success rate is 90%. Some of my clients have received a result within 3 to 27 hours of submitting. It doesn't happen all the time, but that's my biggest achievement with my clients who've received a result, very soon after submitting. So that's been really exciting for them. Some of my clients are very varied. They include people who work for big tech companies like WhatsApp, Sony, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, Zoom, Oracle. But then I also help a lot of people working for startups, the CTOs, CEOs, UX designers, graduates, digital marketers, cybersecurity, the list goes on. And this is why I love what I do. I've been in the tech sector. I know a lot about it, and just working with people from different roles and positions and skills in the tech sector is really exciting. Everyone's story is different. Even though their roles may be the same, their stories very different. And this is what this process is about, is telling your story. Just a quick disclaimer, I only help with stage 1 endorsements, not the stage 2, and I'm not affiliated with the Home Office or Tech Nation, other than I'm a member of the Tech Nation Visa alumni because I received the visa. So over the years, I have been featured in lots of different magazines and articles and been interviewed. And this is the type of thing that they're looking for under the leadership criteria as well. So if you wanted to have a look at the types of evidence that you could produce, it's this type of thing. I've won awards as well. As I said, I was very immersed in the tech sector, so I was able to give my thought leadership around the wearable tech industry because that was my field of expertise. And here is the blog. If you wanted to have a look at it, it's on my website, and it's just a quick read about my journey and the type of people that helped me and how I got my stage 1 endorsement. So these are some of my successful clients that I've helped over the years. Obviously, not everyone wants to share their story, which is absolutely fine, but these are the ones that have shared their story. It's either on my blog or my YouTube channel, and I can share that in my newsletter tomorrow when I send you the recording as well. So yeah, I help people from different countries as well, and obviously different positions, from CEOs, digital marketers, developers. So you can see that there. So quickly, what is the Global Talent Visa? It was called the Exceptional Talent Visa. It's a special visa that was introduced to allow highly skilled tech entrepreneurs and talent the right to apply to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. It's a two-stage process. So the first stage is you must be endorsed by a tech nation, and then the second stage is the Home Office visa application stage. In order to be endorsed by tech nation, you have to meet the strict criteria that they set, and it does seem like a job application, but it's more than a job application. If you research the hashtag Tech Nation Visa, you'll find more information about the Global Talent Visa in digital tech. The reason is because the Global Talent Visa is an umbrella visa. Digital tech is one of the categories in which they allow people to have the visa. There's also the arts, the fashion, the engineering, the science routes as well, and research. So today we're only going to be talking about the Global Talent Visa in digital tech. The benefits of this is it gives you the freedom and flexibility to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. As I said, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain in British citizenship. You can also bring your dependents with you. So if you have a spouse, partner, or children under 18 as well. You can also register a UK limited company, which is important because sometimes I help students who are on a student visa, and part of their visa requirements is, restrictions is they can't register a UK limited company, especially when they're wanting to start their own startup. So this visa, they switch and it allows them to do that. You can also work for a tech company without the need for a company sponsorship if you have the Global Talent Visa. So this is the beauty of it. It gives you that freedom and flexibility. For me, I had the entrepreneur's visa. I switched to the Global Talent. So I was able to work on my startup, but also take a break from my startup and I worked for a university, I worked for an accelerator as well, and then went back to my startup. So I had my own visa, so it didn't really matter. They didn't need to sponsor me because it's attached to you, and it is cost effective in that stage 1 is in the hundreds, stage 2 is in the thousands, but only because of the immigration health surcharge fee. But that's like the medical fee, which it is expensive only because you have to pay up front. But I took advantage of that, especially when you're living in the UK, you've got medical and you're paid for that up front. And I had loads of surgeries and doctor's appointments, which I didn't have to pay for because I had already paid for it for the NHS. Real benefits of the visa. Once I got my visa, we realized that there were some really good benefits of having this visa. It gives you credibility because Tech Nation have endorsed you as an exceptional talent leader or a promising leader in tech. You've got a bit more confidence as well because the visa is attached to you, so you can apply to any job really, so long as it's in the tech sector. A lot of my clients have also received promotions because they're not relying on their companies for the visa. They can, go for promotions, and usually they get it because I've got the credibility and the confidence as well. Some of my clients have got like 2 promotions since getting the visa. They can also negotiate their salaries a bit better as well because they have their own visa. If, the companies aren't giving them the salary they want, they can apply for other jobs without worrying about, the visa situation. Gives you lots of opportunities as well. So for me, I got so many opportunities once I got my Global Talent Visa in terms of working for anywhere I wanted to. People were headhunting me and I had the option of, working with them or continue with my startup. You also become a role model for people who have the same skills as you or people who are from the same country as you. So, you become an accidental role model, but it's a really nice feeling that you can give back to to the tech community as well by sharing your story. And it also gives you a bit more security. A lot of my clients now, once they've got the visa, they can look at buying houses and, really thinking about the next 3 to 5 years of, putting their roots down in the UK so they can really establish themselves and not worry about whether or not they're going to be kicked out or where they're going to work and what company is going to sponsor them. It just gives you so much peace of mind and reassurance as well. So just some of the stats here, there are 90 plus countries that people are applying from. There's a 54% endorsement rate. So 1 in 2 are unsuccessful, which is unfortunate. I'll talk about the appeals and what to do if you are unsuccessful, but these are just the stats. Over the years, there have been, over 3,000 successful recipients. I think it's in the 4,000s now. You can apply for talent or promise depending on how many years of experience you have, and more people obviously are applying for talent than promise. It's just stats, but if you've got less than 5 years, you can still apply. It doesn't stop you from applying. Obviously, the tech sector is very male dominated, which is why it's a 75-25 split. But what I used to do when I was building my startup was also advocate for women in tech as well, to share my story and to become a role model for girls in tech and women in tech, to sort of increase those figures. Once you are endorsed and you receive your visa, you can join the Tech Nation Visa Alumni. So that's a group who have been endorsed from different countries. And we have a Slack channel, Facebook group, and we have regular meetups in London. So that's another community that you can join as well. So as you can see, over the years, there have been lots of people. These are just applications, not endorsements. I applied in 2016, so it's way back here. There weren't many. I think I was in the top 50 that received my endorsement. But as you can see, over the years, it's increased. And, even during COVID, I think there were even more people applying because people were at home more and thinking about their options and being able to work remotely now, which is amazing. So these figures are April to April each year. So here, since April of this year, there have been 640 applications. It's just, I don't know why they make it April to April each year, but that's what it is. So there's been quite a number of applications so far this year. And there was a Tech Nation visa report in 2020. There is one in 2021, but I feel like the 2020 has a bit more stats here. So by country, this is the endorsement rate by country. So you can have a look there. China, US, Canada have a higher endorsement rate. And then the skills, obviously, because it's a tech visa, obviously software engineers are being endorsed, but, people with business skills are also being endorsed, biz dev, you've got marketing, digital design. It's a drop-down box when you fill in your Tech Nation form. So your specific skill in here might not be here, but they just there's a drop-down box. That's why it doesn't list every single skill. So the process is there are 2 stages, as I mentioned, but within stage 1, there's 2 steps. The first step is you have to pay and register at the Home Office, and then you've got 15 working days in which to then upload your documents onto the Tech Nation portal. So it's £456 to pay at the Home Office. You don't get a refund if you are unsuccessful. That's just the fee. And then 15 working days, you've got to upload your documents onto the Tech Nation portal, which is a really easy way to do it. When I did it, I had to send my application pack, which was really thick. I had to print everything off and send it to Sheffield and send it by registered post and wait to hopefully they received it. So this is all really easy now. It's all online in the portal. Tech Nation have 8 weeks in which to respond to you. As I said, some of my clients have received answers within 3 to 27 hours. However, the average now is around 3 to 4 weeks. And they send you an email to say whether or not you have been endorsed. If you are successful, you go to stage 2. So that's the Home Office visa application stage. But if you are unsuccessful, you will get feedback. And then depending on what the feedback is, you can appeal. There is no fee to appeal, but you do have a deadline. So there's a 28 calendar day to appeal the decision. And you can only appeal if you feel like the assessor has made a mistake in making their decision. And then they have 28 calendar days to respond to you. And if you are successful after the appeal, then again, you go to stage 2. But if you are unsuccessful, have a look at the feedback. And I help a lot of people with appeals. There's a strategy around that. But if you are unsuccessful, you can go ahead and apply again, which I've helped lots of people reapply after receiving an unsuccessful decision, or they have another visa route that, hopefully they can go through. But, the journey doesn't end if you are unsuccessful the first time, depending on what the feedback is. So all is not lost, and I help a lot of people with the appeals. And so if you are successful, again, stage 2 is the Home Office visa application stage. It's £152, but then again, there's the immigration health surcharge fee that you have to pay for, which is the more expensive one. But it's a legal process. Generally, if you do get endorsed, you should get the visa, but this is the legal checks that they do for you. And this is when you can apply for your family as well. And it takes about 3 to 8 weeks to get the visa or the biometrics card as well. So the eligibility requirements, the great thing about this visa is it's a tech visa, but people with technical skills and business skills can apply. Obviously, technical skills are pretty clear, but business skills is more about, customers. It's about revenue, generating revenue for the company. It's about operations, sales, that kind of thing. And it's a bit more of a gray area, and I help a lot of people with business skills. But so long as obviously they have something similar to that, this is not an exhaustive list because the tech sector moves so quickly, and everyone has different roles and titles. So you can speak to me and I can help you navigate that. People who work for certain in roles and skills are not eligible, and this is where TechNation have specifically mentioned this. And I get a lot of people who work for consultants and outsourcers. Definitely they aren't eligible, unfortunately, and junior investors and analysts. So I can also help you with that during my eligibility check questionnaire as well. You can also be a founder or employee. You don't have to be a founder. A lot of people ask me, do I have to have my own startup to apply? No, you can be a founder or an employee. And in fact, there's more people who are employees who are endorsed or who have applied. I think the stats are around 27% are founders and the rest are employees. So it's either or. There is a new definition that was released about, what the digital technology sector means, or what is a product-led digital technology company, because they want you to either have worked for a product-led digital technology company or help build and sell products for these product-led digital technology companies. So these are defined as businesses that provide a proprietary, which means they own the products that they have developed and that they're selling them to customers. So you can work for or be a founder of a digital tech company that develops its own products for customers by license or subscription, or just selling it direct. And this is where no consultancies or outsourcers, because usually what they do is they build products for their clients to then sell to their customers. So that's a no. So the company that you work for have to directly sell it to its own customers, and that they own these products. So the application pack is quite intense and there's quite a bit of documents to provide, but obviously I help with that to help navigate it. There's 15 documents, of which 5 documents that everyone has to produce is a CV, a personal statement, and 3 letters of recommendation by experts. So that's where it looks like a job application. But then the next 10 documents then need to make up by fulfilling the criteria that TechNation have set out for everyone to have a look at, and then you then choose the criteria to select and then provide documents against each of those criteria. So if you have more than 5 years experience in the digital tech sector, you go for exceptional talent. If you have less than 5 years experience, you go for exceptional promise. The difference is that if you apply for exceptional talent, which I did, and also which Kelly did as well, it just means that within 3 years you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. But if you apply for exceptional promise and you get that, you have to wait for 5 years before you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. So the difference is 2 years. So the criteria is there's 5 criteria and you select 3. However, the mandatory criteria that you have to select is the leadership one. So you need to show that you are a leader or potential leader in your field and provide 3 examples of that. Then under the optional criteria, there's 4, of which you choose 2 out of 4. There's innovation, so you have to prove that you have a proven track record or examples of innovation. The second criteria is you've done some volunteer work that advances the digital tech sector. The third criteria is if you've produced any commercial, technical, entrepreneurial impact to the field. And the fourth one is academic contributions. And you just pick 2 out of the 4. But you would produce about 3 documents or pieces of evidence to fulfill each of those criteria, and then it makes it up to 10 documents. So 3 pages each, 10 documents. It's about 30 pages for this criteria. And then you've got your other CV, personal statement, and letters of recommendations as well that you need to do. So hopefully in a nutshell that helps, but I've spoken to some of you already. If not, you can always come back and ask me some questions. So these are the common questions that I help a lot of people with, especially because it's such an overwhelming process. I've been through it and I did it by myself with no help. And also back then in 2016, not many people had gone through it. So I didn't really have anyone to ask and anyone who had already gone through the process. So I kind of had to figure it out myself. But over the years, I've helped, as I said, loads of people with it and have received assessors' feedbacks so that I know exactly what types of evidence to present. So a lot of people ask, am I eligible? That's the first thing, and I can usually tell. How do I present my documents? Because if you are eligible, that's one thing. It's structuring and presenting your evidence to fulfill the criteria is another. And then what is relevant information? You know, I'm dealing with people who have worked in the tech sector for, you know, up to 5 years or even 20 years, and you have a lot of information. And then it's our job to pick the relevant information to produce to the assessors and to tell your story in the right way to fulfill the criteria. Also, who can be my experts? You know, you need to provide 3 letters of recommendations by experts in your field. How do you show your innovations or your impact? And how do you show that you're an exceptional leader? These are the things I really do help with. And then definitely, if you've received an unsuccessful result, what should you do? And there's always a strategy around appeals. There's a strategy around everything, in particular, even doing your application, there's a strategy around that as well. And I can help with that. So how I help, you can see on my website, I've got loads of information on my website. I've got blogs, I've got videos. But if you wanted a free 15-minute discovery call, I can check your eligibility after you've filled out my eligibility questionnaire and just put as much information as possible and your LinkedIn profile, because I can usually tell what the assessors are looking for and if you do fit the criteria as well. And then I can book you in for a free discovery call. And so I've been a recipient, I've been through the process, and I've also been a coach. So these are some of my top tips. I've got loads, but I have to break it down to the last 5, to the top 5 is starting early. That's really important because I was on an entrepreneur's visa that was expiring and I only had 3 months to do my application, which is not a lot of time. So definitely start early, budget for time. You've got to plan it. Not only do you have to plan, you have to implement it as well, because it's getting letters, it's writing, you know, your story and your documents. These things take time in addition to your, you know, your job. I mean, I was doing my own startup, you know, building that. And also this is like a whole project in itself. Also, you have to submit and then you need to wait for the result. And then if, you know, unfortunately, if it's unsuccessful, we have to appeal. There's more time there as well. So really do start early. Also have your application checked before submission. I think having someone sense check it as well, because you've been in the job, you've been, you know, in your role and, you know, you're trying to tell your story, but this is about fulfilling the criteria as well. So having someone check it, sense check it, making sure what you're saying makes sense to someone who doesn't know you, so that, you know, it'll help you, you know, cross all the T's and dot all the I's as well. This process is also about your network. You're going to have to ask people to support you, and the assessors not only assess you, but they assess your experts and your network as well. So having a really strong network is really important. It's also about self-promotion. It's about setting out your achievements and highlighting all your achievements in the tech sector. I know we aren't good at that. I mean, it's really hard to self-promote, but it's not, I don't like to call it self-promotion, but I do like to call it as highlighting your achievements and strengths to help you sort of get around that self-promotion word if people aren't comfortable with it, and I help with that as well. It's also easier for me to help you highlight your achievements and strengths than it is to do it yourself. So again, it's great to have someone in your corner to support you through that process. And also prepare to put in the hard work. It is stressful, it is intense, but the bigger the reward, the bigger the investment that's required by you. And, you know, I can attest to it. I've been through it, and all my clients have also been through it as well. Nothing is easy, particularly, you know, being people who don't live in the country that you want to, you know, live and work in. it's harder for us because we have to go through so many hoops just to live and work in another country. So unfortunately, that's just the way that it is for people who aren't from the country that they want to live in. So hopefully that has given you a snapshot, but obviously there's loads more information. But right now I want to introduce Kelly, who is my client, who I helped last year. It's actually her 1-year anniversary. We looked back and it's just perfect. So I'd like to welcome Kelly to the floor. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me.
Does this all bring back memories?
It does. It feels like such a long time ago, yet feels like it was yesterday.
It does. I feel like I still only spoke, well, we did only speak a few days ago, but it just, the whole process, I remember it so vividly for you, even though it's been a year.
Yes, you have a very good memory.
I love all my clients, and after spending some time with you, especially during such a stressful process, you invite me into your world and share everything about your skills and achievements, and I just love supporting you.
I know, poor thing. I think you were my life support during that application period.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed it as well. I know it was stressful for you, but it was a great. I felt really proud of you for everything you achieved during that time. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look. Please do introduce yourself to everyone here. I think everyone's really dying to hear your story.
Okay, yeah. And so my name is Kelly Stottlemyer. I'm from the US. So I'm originally from California. I moved to New York City for graduate school where I studied information systems. After I graduated, I stayed in New York. I worked for Sony for a bit of time before I found my next career move, which was to become a professional services engineer for a company called Varonis. So it's a product-led software company in the security realm. And while I was working for the company, I was ready to leave New York. I wanted to get some experience living abroad. So their offer was to sponsor me to come out to the London office. So that's what I did. I came over on an intra-company transfer visa and continued to work for the company there. I also progressed into a customer success manager role. And so that's kind of my background leading up to applying for the global talent visa. So I was here on that intra-company transfer visa. At the time I was on that visa, so I know the rules have changed a little bit on that one. At the time I could not switch companies, I could not switch visas. I had a 1-year cooling off period where I would have had to have left the country for a year if I wanted to, make a change. And I know that's changed a bit now after Brexit. But I would say those are the circumstances. I've now been in the UK just over 6 years.
Wow. So it sounds like you felt like this ICT visa, while at the time was great because it allowed you to move to London, but then, obviously circumstances change and you kind of feel like, oh, what if I want to move within London and I can't? So why did you decide to apply for is that the reason why you decided to apply for the global talent visa?
Absolutely, yes. So I think I was ready to make a change in my career, but I was really stuck. So I felt very stuck on that ICT visa. With Brexit, so with the rules changing, I was really excited to hear that, okay, now I can at least move into the new work visa and get sponsorship through another company without doing the 1-year cooling off period. And there were so many opportunities. I think it had been years and years of recruiters reaching out about really exciting opportunities and just not being able to pursue that on that intra-company transfer visa. Finally, when it did become that I would be eligible to switch to a work visa with sponsorship, I was interviewing with quite a number of companies, some of which it was an immediate, no, we don't do sponsorship, and other companies where I'd get through the whole process of the interview, and at the end, then they would realize they couldn't sponsor. So it was a pretty devastating, process to go through. The excitement of thinking you're going to start a whole new career, a company wants you, they want to hire you, and you can't. So that's what happened in my case. I knew that there was possibly going to be an opportunity in the tech realm to, start to work with a company without sponsorship. So to get a work visa without sponsorship. So I was doing some research on that, and it looked like the timing was going to be at least over a year for that. And meanwhile, I had this company that wanted to hire me. I really wanted that position. So I was kind of desperate to find a solution. And that's when I came across the Global Talent Visa. I thought it was a long stretch. I thought, no way would I be eligible for this. But that's when I found you, Michelle. And I actually ended up watching one of these interviews. So it was a recorded interview you did with someone who had a marketing background. And I thought, well, hey, maybe if someone with this kind of a business background can get this visa, maybe I have a chance. So that's when I did the free 15-minute session with you. And I was shocked when you told me that I would be eligible.
Yeah, I remember. It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, me too.
It really does. Okay, so then, once we, I know it was a process for you. What were the challenges and hesitations? I know you said, oh my God, I'd never do it. I'd never get it. But what were the real challenges and hesitations in applying for this visa? Because it is confronting. Like I remember doing it, but I just didn't have time to think. I just applied because there was no other way for me to stay in the country.
Yeah, that's how I was starting to feel. So I think the biggest challenge was the eligibility. Like, am I eligible for this? Again, I think just working with you, having you clarify that, watching other people's stories, watching your recorded interviews. I think when you read about this visa, you just think, okay, I need to be a Mark Zuckerberg to get this. But really that's not the case. And I think that was a big challenge. Another challenge was just having the confidence just to feel like, am I even worth this visa? Like, am I worthy of that? So I think that you are obviously just my huge supporter throughout the whole thing, just building up my confidence. I think working with people in my network, having people to like support letters and anything else that I needed, that was a huge boost.
Yeah.
As well as, I think, as part of it, the application, you encouraged me to apply for some different awards. So I did get a nomination for a Women in IT award, thanks to your suggestion. And so that, again, was building up the confidence. And I think that was a huge thing. I know that in the beginning, I thought, should I just try to put an application together myself? I feel like I'm pretty good at putting these kinds of things together, but it was quite confusing. And I thought, do I spend the money and work with people? I don't know, maybe I should just try to do it on my own. And thank God, I mean, looking back on it, I would have never been able to do it without you, Michelle. So it was now if I were to tell anyone else, it's a no-brainer. You Michelle.
Thank you so much. And it was hard because you were doing this on top of your work and, with your visa issues, and you're in a difficult situation, and it's hard because you're always second guessing yourself, because I know I did. And it's such a stressful process. And then are you thinking clearly, and you just keep asking the questions. But luckily I was there to just say yes, no, so we could just move on without you being in that mind frame where it's just constant doubt throughout the whole process. Yeah. Oh, but I'm glad you overcame all those challenges. And every week when we had our discussion, it was just progression every week, and those little milestones that you achieved. So let's talk about the criteria and all the experts and the criteria you chose. So who did we choose as your experts? Because you had you worked at Sony and Varonis, you had some customers.
Yeah, so luckily, so since I moved to the UK, wow, I just really loved working with customers here. And so I've been really fortunate to make a lot of really good connections. And probably the customer that I loved working with the most, he was a huge supporter of me just in general, my career. He even offered me a job himself. I was really lucky to have his support throughout my time here in the UK. And so I just knew that that was someone that I would want to get a letter from. So he was the head of information security at a very large financial institution. So that was one of the experts. One of the other experts was someone that I was working with at Varonis. He's kind of like the technical evangelist at the company. He travels around the world, speaking to tech audiences at big, large events, and so really an expert in the field. So that was a great letter to have. It was so generous of him to offer to write that letter of support. And someone else was actually way back at my time at Sony, which was well over 10 years ago, but luckily someone that I worked for that I stayed in contact with and just have a really great relationship with. He actually ended up moving to Singapore from New York. I moved from New York to London, and we actually connected, luckily, in the couple of years before I applied, when he actually came to London for work. So that was the third expert.
Yeah, that's really good. And, you know, it's hard to think about who can be your support person, especially for people who you've worked with for years and then you haven't connected with them, but you had ongoing relationships with these people, which is really helpful because they need to know your career progression. Like, you can't just call someone from 10 years ago and then what happens in the last 10 years. So
Yeah.
at least you had that continual relationship with them. And particularly the one that you know, we had to write a bio for, because you know, the experts don't know how to sell themselves either. So we put together a bio for them, and what did they say?
Yeah, so after, again, not working with someone for 10 years, Michelle, obviously you really helped with that bio, and it did sound pretty incredible. And so with that, when, you know, we worked with him on that letter, and he read that bio, he was so impressed by it that he ended up using that in his own resume and LinkedIn. So I think that was such a benefit to him as well.
Yeah, definitely, because you know, experts are very humble. Like, you know, they don't want to self-promote themselves, but we see their bio, but we could always, you know, make it sound even better because they've got so many other achievements that they don't think to include. So we added that in, and I'm so pleased that he was impressed with his own bio and he used that. So that's sort of, it's a two-way street. You know, they're helping you, but at the same time you're helping them as well, which is really nice, and that strengthens your relationship with them.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and I think really nice. You know, after the application, someone actually asked me to write them a letter of recommendation, totally unrelated to my application, not someone that I did, but it just felt so good then to give back. So sometimes it's difficult to ask people for those letters of support, but actually, like when in turn I was asked for a letter, it felt so good to give back to someone in that way.
There you go. See, that's really nice. That's very good. So, okay, let's talk about the criteria, because there's 5 criteria. We picked 3, obviously the leadership one. So if you want to talk through the criteria we chose and what documents you put against those criteria.
Yeah, so for leadership, luckily that was kind of one of the easier ones in the application. I guess I'm fortunate enough that, and maybe also because I came from the US, that under one of the criteria we used was high salary. So just proving that and proving it against the industry. Another piece of evidence that we used for the leadership was that nomination that I did get for the Women in IT Awards. So again, those were kind of some easy ones to put together. And then we did use a letter of support from a customer in the industry here in the UK.
Yes, and that customer was, you know, had a lot of great things to say about how your leadership impacted his company, obviously, and the bottom line as well, because your role as a customer success manager was a bit of technical and sales as well. So
yeah, correct. Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting one. I remember we were kind of thinking customer success, that's kind of unique. You don't see that anywhere in any of the criteria for the application. Is this going to work? Customer success is a really new and upcoming role. So I think it is really important to the industry right now. And yeah, so for the other criteria that we chose for innovation, we were able to kind of show both, all of them. For that criteria, we use customer examples, and my strategy working with those customers and showing basically the technical strategy as well as the business strategy, and then ultimately showing the impact to those customers as well as the impact to my own company. So obviously things like customer renewing their subscriptions to our software and upselling additional products. So lots of impact there. Also, because I think when I was putting the application together, I'm just thinking about the impact to the customer, but ultimately, yes, it's also positively impacting the company that I was working for.
That's interesting, because you are a customer success manager, so you had that customer mind frame, but then we would always go back to, okay, how did that impact the company? And you were amazing for your company. I don't think you saw that until we did this process.
Yeah, it was such a great reflection to go back against all the work that I had been doing and kind of, be able to reflect on that and, put all of those examples together.
And do you feel like it was more than a job application then?
Oh, 1,000 times more.
But even then, I think it then helped you prepare for your other job applications, because you did more than what was required, but then allowed you to reflect and then do better in your job interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. As well as just kind of taking a step back, reflecting on the work that I've been doing. And it really made me think about, actually, what is the next step in my career? And is that going to look a little different than maybe what I thought in the past prior to doing the application?
Yeah, you went on a journey there. Just now that you're saying it, you did. I could see the transition, the transformation that happened. But yeah, we had time to do that, which is great.
Yeah, so, and I think you don't always get that recognition at work sometimes, right? Like, I know me, I was kind of the sole ownership of my accounts. And so maybe a lot of people didn't know what I was doing or, the impact that my work was always having. And so I think it was really refreshing to go back and kind of have that review myself.
Absolutely. And I think that's important. I hope you can do that in the next year, 2-3 years. You can do that for yourself rather than having a manager do that for you. Do your own reflective process. And
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Good. I'm pleased. So just to recap for everyone, we chose leadership for Kelly. Well, we had to innovation, which is optional criteria 1, and optional criteria 3, which is significant technical, commercial, entrepreneurial contributions. So that's optional criteria 3 that we chose, which is impact. Okay, so let's talk about, once we've finished your 45 pages. It was like, people say it's a PhD thesis of your career. So when did you submit your application, and when did you receive the result for the endorsement?
Yeah, so I think we went back and we looked and we saw it's been a year. So it was actually July. So the 23rd of July last year, we submitted the application, and it was just about exactly 2 weeks later, because I think the 23rd was about a Friday when I submitted it at the end of the day. And then 2 weeks, the Monday just after, is when I received the endorsement. So
couldn't believe it, so quick.
Yeah, and one of the happiest, most excited days So all that hard work, it really paid off. And then the very next day applied for stage 2. So that was pretty easy, I think, because I've been through sort of similar process with the ICT visa. So just kind of, standard kind of information about my background. And then I think I applied as a priority. So I did my biometrics appointment under a priority, not super priority, but just priority. So I did get an appointment a week later from when I had applied for stage 2. So went to my appointment, got all my fingerprints and photo taken, and then was waiting because I was told I would receive an email about when they would deliver my BRP card, my residence permit card. And little did I know, they just attempted to deliver it a week later on the 24th of August. I wasn't home. I didn't know. I didn't receive any email. And I think it was weeks were going by, and I was like, I paid for priority. I should have had this by now. What's going on? I know I called you kind of panicking about it because I had booked a trip back to California. Oh my God. And I needed that card before I traveled. So thank God you told me to check my spam folder. I think in all my life, I've never had an email go to spam until this one occasion. So I think it was sometime in beginning of September that I finally checked my spam folder. I had an email saying they attempted to deliver my residence card back in August, and that I needed to schedule a redelivery within 30 days or they would send it back to home office. So thank goodness I found that email 30 days, and they rescheduled it for, I think, the next business day. So finally got the card. I think it was like the 13th of September, even though I should have had it weeks prior.
And when was your trip? When was your trip?
Yeah, it was literally 1 week later on the 20th of September. I flew 1 week after getting the card. So definitely check your spam folder. And probably don't book a trip until you've actually received your card.
Oh my God, because I emailed Kelly to catch up to say, how are you going? You got your visa? And Kelly was like, I don't have my visa. I said, check your spam. The reason why I told you to check your spam was because I got an email from Home Office when I applied, and they sent an email to my spam, and I didn't get it for another week. And I had a deadline as well. So that snuck into spam. So from now on, I get everyone, once you've submitted, check your spam as well as your email. You just never know, because it's like the email looks spammy, like it just from, it's, you said it was from TNT or something. So
I expected to receive some sort of an email. Well, so yeah, Home Office doesn't email you at all about when you're going to receive it. It just comes from the company that they hire to deliver. So that company is called TNT here in the UK. And so luckily finally found that email. But yeah, I think in all my years, like nothing ever goes to spam. Gmail is so good about, the filtering. And so lesson learned.
It's interesting because not only in the UK, I had a client who I helped in the US, and she had a similar situation, and the delivery company sent it to the wrong address and it went to her spam. She had a nightmare as well, and she was moving to the UK, so it was just
so stressful.
So stressful. But so you got it 4 weeks after, but you should have received it a week after.
Correct. Yes. I should have had it exactly 1 week after my biometrics appointment. Yeah.
Okay. So it's very quick then.
Yes. Yeah. Under the priority, very quick.
Yeah. It's interesting that the preparation that we did months. The decision
Months
for
only thing to you. Like if
Oh,
it would have
God.
been me on my own, it would have been years, I think, of trying to
Yeah.
get that done.
Well, we didn't have years. You were on a deadline as well. You know, your ICT visa was expiring. All things are happening. So yeah, so it took months to prepare, but the decision, 2 weeks for endorsement, 1 week for the visa. So it does happen quickly once you know, spend the time to prepare. It is a quick process after that.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yes.
That's positive, despite all the delivery. Okay, so now that you've gone through the process, I know it's been a year on, but again, it just still feels like only, you know, yesterday or a few months ago. What advice, now that you've had some time to reflect and, you know, you've moved on from Verona's, but we'll talk about that in a sec. What advice would you give now to people, you know, having gone through the whole process?
Yeah, so I would definitely say just go for it. I think that probably the biggest hang up for everyone is just thinking that, you know, again, if you are under the impression like I was, okay, I need to be a Mark Zuckerberg or somebody in order to qualify for this, I would say just go for it. So definitely book in the 15 minutes with Michelle. I can't advocate for that enough. It's so generous of you that you do those free 15-minute sessions, because that's really that was just confirmation for me that I would be eligible. So I think that that's the biggest thing, and work with Michelle. It's 100% worth it. I don't even know what to say. Like, I just don't think I could have done this at all without you. I think I kind of pride myself on being able to, you know, read through the details of things, of what I need, like the legality of a lot of these visas and going through those processes. But the application for the global talent is completely different. It's so confusing. And I mean, wow, I can't say enough. So definitely work with Michelle. I think another thing that I didn't think about, but that you recommended for me, was that to be creative with the application. So I think that was a big thing. Like I'm just thinking, okay, I got to get all the facts and you know, everything just onto paper and have it look the best. But there's actually a person behind that's having to read through all those 45 pages, and that must be very daunting. So I think you were kind of, you know, you kind of put that into perspective for me. So I think that I enjoyed that the most, just the creative part of putting that application together. So I was using an application called Miro. I loved working in that application and just getting really creative with, you know, describing all of the strategies with all of my customers, showing the before and after, and making it look very visually appealing. And so I think I just really enjoyed that. And I would say that also, as you said, it's a really stressful process. There's so much work that's involved in it. And for me, like, that involved taking time off of work. And even ultimately, the last week, I got out of town. I rented an Airbnb for a week, and I got out of the house, and just so that I could purely focus on getting the last of the application done and submitted. So that was a big thing. I think that we would also kind of set goals. So every time we would meet, we would set little goals. Okay, this is what we're going to work on. This is what we're going to accomplish for the week. And I think those little goals were really helpful. I think that, you know, sometimes for whatever reason, I didn't make much progress one week, and maybe more another week, but you were always there really kind of championing me, like, get this done, maybe we can submit by this date. And so your enthusiasm, like your cheerleading me on, I think was you know, looking back on that was like the biggest help, kind of getting through that.
Yeah, and I understand it is hard, because 1 week goes by and, you know, you're so busy in your work and you want to have a weekend off. And then
Yeah.
we've got a meeting coming up and you're like, oh, I haven't done anything.
Yeah. Plus, I think it was like summertime. It was like, I
Yeah, it
just want
was.
to go outside and be in the sun.
This is why we need to prepare. We need to prepare for downtime and
Yes.
summertime. And
Yes.
actually, I am very busy in winter because no one wants to go out, and everyone's having a good time now. But it's those factors that you don't think of until you go through this process. And these are the things that I ask people now: is what work have you got on coming up that may cause this to be on the back burner? Because how important is this now for you? Are we working on any deadlines? What's your work like? What's your family like? Just to give you some time and prioritize, because it is another thing on top of your already existing heavy workload.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's really good advice. I think you wouldn't know that until you've gone through the process, because this is a completely new thing that you're doing. You've never looked back at your career in the last 5 to 7 years and having to prove yourself. It's not a job application. It's more than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good advice. Thank you. And your network as well is a something that you have to keep on top of, I think.
Yes.
You did that. I think you did that naturally. You didn't have to force yourself to do that. So you were very lucky to have your network.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I think, because for that third criteria, I think we used only letters of support. So I think that my network was key, and it was great to also reconnect with people in my network, throughout the process. So that's always a benefit as well.
Absolutely. And they're interested in this visa as well. So, it gave you something to talk about after not hearing from them in a few months, a few years. So it was a good chance to reconnect.
Yes.
Okay. So finally, before I finish up, I know we're running out of time, but that's okay. I hope that's okay with everyone. So where do you work now? Because it's been a year. Are you still working at Veronis or?
So I'm not. So I have moved on. And so I was able to sort of get into the position that I was really pining for. And so now I work for Zoom. Yeah. So, but ultimately, in the end, it's just such a relief to know that no matter what happens, I always have the freedom. I always have the flexibility to be able to make any changes that I want in my career. And all of the opportunities that are here in the UK are completely open to me. So I'm not restricted at all by, a visa or needing sponsorship. I can apply to any position and know that, if I do decide to make that change. So that's just such a great thing, I think, after being stuck on the other visa at my old company. Not that I'm making any changes now, but just to know that I do have that flexibility is really great. But for now, I'm over at Zoom.
Ah, that's fantastic. And we're using the Zoom platform, and I'm so happy for you. And what's your role now? Because you said that customer success manager is a new role. Are you in that same kind of role?
So I'm actually a technical account manager. I wanted to kind of hold on to the technical side. So I kind of felt like it was a better fit. I work really closely with customer success managers, and a lot of the responsibilities do overlap. But for now, I'm a technical account manager. So similar, working with really large customers. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. See, so you've got the best of both worlds. You can go technical, or you can go back to customer success or sales. You've got a really good transferable skill set. You've got so much that you can continue or do something completely different.
Yes. I think for anyone on the call that's interested in customer success, there's so many opportunities here in the UK. I always receive, emails from recruiters. So there's always a lot of opportunity in that field.
Yeah. See, because we wouldn't know that role existed. So, you having been in that role, that's a new role. That's not on the list as well. So as I said, the tech sector moves so quickly. There's so many new roles, and tech companies are just hiring people. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. The title doesn't really translate what you do, but it's a really interesting time and place that we're at.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. I really enjoy this, and I love catching up with you. I always learn about you and what you're doing, because the tech sector, it's just moving so fast, and this is how I'm still involved in the tech sector, by talking to my clients and understanding what they're doing and making an impact to not only their own companies, to the industry, but to their own lives, because that's why I do it, because I want to see how you're progressing. Who knows where you're going to be next year, but we'll have another anniversary call.
Good. It's always a pleasure, Michelle. You are always just
Oh,
this like ray of sunshine
oh,
in the darkness that
oh.
is applying for visas and dealing with the home office. And you are the ray of light.
Oh.
So I can't speak to it enough. It's just always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And I think that way of you as well. I love it. I loved working with you. Thank you. So we're going to put it up to the floor now. If anyone's got any questions, I usually have questions. I don't have any right now, but pop it in your into the chat or Q&A. I've got them both open now that it's working. If you wanted to speak to me, just email me, go into my website. You've got my eligibility questionnaire, and that's how you'll contact me. But I hope everyone's been able to gain something from this. I always gain something from this, but it will be, it's recorded, so I will share it on YouTube, because I know a lot of people are busy enjoying their summer and can watch this later on, and do what Kelly did and just go back and look at all my videos, because everyone's story is different. We told a really good story with you, Kelly, something that you probably didn't even think about. Each piece of evidence tells a story, and overall they can see, they know, like, and trust you after reading 15 documents. And I can't say enough how much I enjoyed reading your visual presentation of your innovations and your work and your strategy. You made it a pleasure to read. I was really excited when I saw all the pictures and the colors, and you made it really easy to read and a pleasure to read. And that's important, because, as you say, someone's got to read your 45 pages. And you can always look back and use that as examples for your job interviews as well.
Absolutely, yes. I think I have. I've used some of those for when I've had to do presentations for other companies during the interview process. I think I did sort of take some of that.
Yeah, that's really good. Great. So Vivian said thank you. It's a great session. And yes,
Thank you.
definitely book in. You will be making so much. You've inspired so many people today, Kelly, and you will continue to do so. And hopefully that will keep you going as well. I know it's hard, working every day, it's hard, but I think, when you inspire others, that's what keeps you going, and you're an inspirational role model for others as well.
Yeah, no, I hope so many people do get to the privilege of applying and getting this visa. It's a great opportunity. Just being able to live here almost as if you're a citizen and having the free range to kind of do what you want to do. It's incredible.
Definitely. Someone's asking, and Jennifer said thank you. Someone's asking about the high salary range. It really depends, because it depends on your own country. So Kelly, we had industry reports for yours, and this is what I encourage everyone to do, is each country has its own high salary range. So it's not a fixed for everyone.
Correct. So and I think it depends on the position. So we compared it to the fact that my role was customer success. And then we looked at the industry. So because I'm doing it here in the UK, as you said, we looked at the industry, the ranges. We used a number of different sites like Glassdoor and others that have, what the range is for those, and being able to prove that against it.
Yeah, definitely. And then, US, UK is different to countries, India, Pakistan, Nigeria. It's different, but just use the countries that you're in and compare it. You can't compare it to the UK because they're completely different unless you are living in the UK and working in the UK. So that's so if someone's asked about that, so it depends on your role, your country, and your what the industry is saying about your role. So I hope that helps. Okay, Right. So, Tommy, you filled out a questionnaire. Hopefully, I have answered you, but HR solutions in product-led organizations, it sounds like it, but hopefully I can get back to you and we can book in a call. So that sounds like yes, but let's have another chat, or let's have a chat. Okay, so I think we've gone a little bit over, and I know Kelly has to go back to work, and I don't want to prolong this if there's no other questions, but I hope in that case we have answered all your inquiries. But thank you so much for everyone for coming, and I really do hope this has inspired you, so that you can then really look into your career and look into how you can move to the UK and join Kelly and a lot of other Tech Nation Visa alumni to make a real difference. The UK really does need highly skilled people working in the tech sector. You just have to convince them through your 15 pieces of evidence that you deserve to be in the UK and that they need you. Okay, Kelly, I'm so glad you came to the UK, even though I know you've been there for 6 years, but I hope that in the next 2 years you can apply for your indefinite leave to remain, and then you've got even more freedom and flexibility to get your British citizenship, and you're already looking at your future already, and it's only been a year, but it's more secure now.
Yes, yeah. Little did I know how much I was going to love living here, so I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully we will meet soon. COVID's over, but I'd love to see you, and we can catch up. But thank you so much for giving up your time for everyone, and I wish you all the best, and I know we will keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, and wishing everyone watching the best of luck on your applications.
Thank you. I'm going to leave it here now. Bye, everyone. Bye,
Thanks.
Kelly. Bye.